Hello, and welcome to everyone who's on the call. If you haven't, it's not a call. I'm too used to doing Zooms like most of us are. Welcome to all of you. Oh, hello, Michael. I've just seen your name pop up in the stream. Welcome to everyone. And this is my fourth live stream, and still practicing, still learning, and it's good to have a couple of people on the stream. It's good to have a couple of people on the stream who, like me, are learning about YouTube and learning to do things. So welcome to Kevin, welcome to Michael, and welcome to Patrick and to Martin and to Jakub, who are all here. I assume you're all project managers. So if you're on the live stream, if you're attending live and haven't yet kind of said something, introduce yourself in the chat. It's good to know who's there. I think the benefit of the live streams, I could record these. I'm pretty familiar with recording content and putting it up on YouTube, but the purpose of the live stream is to be able to respond to your questions, to your observations, to your thoughts, to really serve your needs. So tell me about what it is you want. Tell me who you are. Tell me what you're doing, and then I can kind of respond to you. I just wanted to start the stream by surveying some of the content that I put up over the last few weeks since I was last on the stream, because I think there's some interesting stuff. As you probably know, I put up something like 4 or 5 articles a month. So every Monday there's a new feature article on the website. There are 2 videos every week. On Tuesdays I tend to put a short video, more opinion based, kind of thought-provoking, intended to be thought-provoking, hope it is. And then on Thursdays a more substantive kind of knowledge piece that will help you grow your project management knowledge. And recently I've been putting up the first of a number of interviews I've been doing with prominent project managers. So you'll have hopefully have seen my interview with Elizabeth Harrin about onboarding a team. Elizabeth, of course, very well known in the project management community, particularly in the UK, partly for her Project Management Cafe Facebook group, but we talked about onboarding a project team and the importance of good communication when onboarding a team. And I also spoke, and that's also gone up, I think, is my video with Dmitry Nizhbyetsky, who also has a very successful project management YouTube channel, so do check him out. And we talked about tailoring, which was actually very well timed in the sense that I recorded that a while ago, and then that went out, and then about the same time the PMI issued its new Pulse of the Profession report. So if you're not familiar with the PMI, the Project Management Institute, it's the largest membership body for project managers in the world. It's based in the US. That probably accounts for its scale. Its core project management qualification, the PMP, is arguably the most subscribed to qualification, most in-demand qualification for project managers in the world. There are a lot of other very good qualifications. And by the way, they've changed their PMP qualification guidelines, and I've responded. So you'll find our new PMP preparation study guide on the website. And although the price was due to go from its pre-launch price to its launch price on the 1st of May, I decided to hold it over till to now, and I'll get up tomorrow morning and put the price up properly. But I thought I'd hold the pre-launch price for anyone on the live stream who is thinking about taking their PMP or in the process of taking their PMP. Grab it straight after this live stream. I'll put the link in the actually the best place to go is just to the homepage, because there's a link on the homepage of my website. Let me just copy that into the chat, and then I'll say hello to people I've seen joined in a moment. So who's joined since I had a look? We've got Kevin says, sounds great, looks great. That's fantastic news. Kevin is my mentor, my coach, my advisor on all things YouTube and video making related. So I'm delighted that he's pleased with the quality. And I'll be joining him on his live stream. I'll post a link to that. On Saturday, we're talking about setting up courses. Who else have we got? Bimpybod. I'm not sure how to say that. Says hello there. Hello, Bimpybod. Martin, Project Support Officer. Martin Parnham is a Project Support Officer Coordinator, here to learn a bit more about managing projects for the future. Yeah, for a lot of us, well, not for me, but for a lot of my colleagues and a lot of people, project office work and project coordination is a way into project management. In fact, actually, when I first told my my boss that I thought I was doing some project management, he said, no, you're not. You're just doing a bit of coordination. And so, you know, although informally there was no role for project coordinators when I started, that's kind of how I got started too. Kevin asked, teach me how to get stuff done. I'm a project manager for myself. Actually, that's really important. So many of us start our project management experience managing our own stuff, our own lives, our own projects. And for many small business owners, we are managing our own projects. Those are the projects I do now as well. He really needs to handle his schedule before he fires himself. Kevin, my best advice to you is just fire yourself because you're rubbish. Kevin's friend. I'm sure he doesn't really think I mean that, but maybe I do. Anyway, yeah, we'll that would be a great topic actually. Way back in the day, Project Management Institute, one of their knowledge areas for project managers was time management. And actually, they didn't mean time management as we normally mean it. They meant project schedule management, and they've changed the name of it. But maybe we'll do one of these live streams on managing your own time and getting your own stuff done. But I think we'll certainly cover a little bit of what you need, Kevin, in this live stream. So I'll refer back to that. Who else have we got? We've got Gurudas Kampley. Hi, project controller in mobility industry. Excellent. So another project controller. Can Bolkan is an engineer on a railway project. Engineers, by and large, particularly civil engineers and to some extent mechanical engineers, construction engineers, those sorts of roles. Pretty much project management becomes part of your career as you start getting out on site and doing things. So that's great. It's great to hear that. Availed your course to the fullest, says Can. Thank you very much. Michael Finn. Hi, Michael. Michael has he's a photographer, he's a wildlife photographer, and he has the most fantastic book of wildlife photographs you can imagine. If it weren't a flight of stairs down in the house, I'd go and rush down and get it and show it all to you. Michael, I'll make you a moderator so you can post a link into the stream, because your book is fantastic, and anyone who loves wildlife photography will love that. I just need to find you now. There you are. I'll make you a moderator. You can post a link if you want to. There you go. Kevin, fire yourself. Live stream on managing your own time. Yes, please. We'll do that. We will definitely do that. I will make a note to do that. Who else have we got? Last on my list at the moment is Ado, Piacek, I think. Hey, Mike. I'm just a student. Not just a student. Students are the professionals of the future. You're not just a student, you are a student. Just a student, he says. Interested in project management. Good. And whether you're going to be a project manager or not, learning about project management will stand you in good stead with whatever profession you choose. Mostly looking for know-how, nothing specific at the moment. That's great, because if you're going to be a student, the attitude that will serve you best, whether you're a student formally full-time or whether you're just a student of stuff during the rest of your life, the best attitude that will serve you well is curiosity and the willingness to learn whatever is out there to learn. So that's fantastic to hear. I did want to highlight another article on the website. If you go to the website and you go to the articles, it's about 2 weeks ago, I think, on the Monday. the PMI every year publish a Pulse of the Profession survey. They survey all their members, or a subset of their members. There's usually about 3,000 or so responses in their data set, which is quite a large data set. Of the last few years, they've tried to, rather than just present the data cold and try and draw some trends out of it, they try to draw one big insight from the data set. And this year's, I think, was really quite strong, and they've come up with this distinction between certain types of enterprises that are doing particularly well and certain types of enterprises that are not doing as well, and they find a consistent set of differentiators, and they are able to describe what they call a gymnastic enterprise. Yes, gymnastic is just another way of saying agile, but they characterize it. And I think although we don't get to see their whole data set, and there are one or two figures in there that don't strike me as too strong, I think the underlying message is very good. So I've done a thorough review of the PMI's gymnastic enterprise concept and their 2021 Pulse of the Profession report. If you are looking at project management from a strategic point of view, if you're looking to be able to answer questions at interview, to be interesting and interested in project management at the wider scale, take a look at my article, download the Pulse of the Profession report. It's free to download. Download the appendix as well. It's got some of the data in it, so it's quite interesting. There's a lot there for us as project managers, so take a look at that. But there's some great stuff on my website. I hope that you'll find it useful. What have we got here? So we've got Yash Vardhan. Can you make some videos on customer relationship management? He's also a student. I think it's a he. Is a student who just got certified in CAPM. Well done, fantastic. CAPM is PMI's entry-level qualification for project managers. So to be a PMP, a project management professional, you need a lot of experience and a higher level of knowledge. But you can't just go straight into a PMP exam without a fair amount of workplace experience, quite rightly so. But CAPM gives that kind of underlying level of knowledge. So congratulations. CRM, customer relationship management, is it's used by marketers, it's used by sales organizations to manage the relationships with their customers. Obviously, most of them use sophisticated software. At the enterprise level, we've got software like Oracle and Siebel providing that, and then there's a range of different CRM, down to the sort of things that individuals like I would use for a small business. I use some CRM software called ActiveCampaign. And as a project manager, I was involved in implementing some CRM software for a client as part of a much larger project back in 2000, when it was all very new. But what I would say, Yash, is that it doesn't seem to me to be a specifically project management discipline. So if you could say a little bit more about what you want to know, because I'm not an expert in CRM. It's just one of those tools. The only thing I would add, though, is that when I wrote my book on stakeholder engagement, let's get that in front of the camera. Always good to show the book. So this is the Influence Agenda. It's my heaviest weight book. It's a good, solid hardback. This is used at universities, but it's easily readable. And very good value for money. It is my most expensive book, I'm afraid. But when I wrote this, I did use some principles from CRM and apply them to the idea of stakeholder engagement, because there's some useful stuff there. So say some more, Yash, about what it is you want to know, and I'll see if there's in what you're after, a realistic kind of project management focused video, because I don't want to be making videos for the channel on things where I'm not really an expert. Lots of congratulations for Yash added there, and Michael Finn has posted his link, so if you love wildlife photography, have a look at that. Hi Mike, just taking a course on project management, says Bimpapod. Can you please talk about managing data migration project? Whew, that's a bit technical. I'll say a little bit about what I know, and I've never done a data migration project before, so I can only speak generally. But I think the key thing to be thinking about as a project manager is firstly making sure you build the relationships, and we'll talk a bit about that in the main part of the stream. Make sure you build the relationships with the experts, and so that you can listen to them and understand what they need, because when you plan your project, you are going to be absolutely reliant on experts unless data migration is your thing. The other thing I would say is think very long, very hard, and consult deeply about backup and contingency planning and soft go lives if you can, so that you de-risk it. Because if you become a custodian of the organization's data, and it might not be the whole data set, it might be a very narrow data set, but if you're going to migrate it, it's going to have a value. If it doesn't have a value, you wouldn't bother migrating it. You just let it wither and ditch it. So I think your big emphasis I would put on is relationship building with key technical experts and stakeholders, and contingency planning and fallbacks, and the whole risk mitigation thing. But I'm not a technical project manager in the sense that I've done a lot of high-tech projects, and the high-tech projects I relied on technical experts, engineers, when we were doing year 2000, and IT technicians and IT software engineers, and again when we were building an internet-based telephony business, which was actually incidentally when I did some CRM, I was reliant on the software architects and the data architects and all of the technical experts, and all I was doing as a project manager, is seeing the whole picture and putting people in touch and listening to the conversations and synthesizing a program around those experts. As a project manager, we don't need to be experts in the subjects that we're delivering our projects on. What we do need to do is to be able to call upon them. I think what I'm going to do is seem to have pretty much come to the end of the comments for the moment, and I'll take a look at those in a moment. And by the way, if you've commented since, it's just the timing or the lag on the live stream, so I'll come back to the comments in a moment, but I do want to kind of tackle the subject of this live stream, which is there's more to managing projects than project management. Because if you're like Yash, you do your CAPM and you study a load of stuff. Let me show you what Yash had to learn, because the syllabus for the CAPM is very easily expressed. It is the Project Management Body of Knowledge 6th edition. Look at that. That's a good 3 centimeters, just over an inch in old money, or for those of you in America, modern money. It's a big thing, and it's a horrible document in the sense that the PMI has published it on special paper that you can't photocopy to protect their copyright. It also means it's hard to read because the paper is grey. But Yash has done a fantastic job in learning all of this and understanding enough of it, well, I assume all of it, to be able to answer, I think, something like 400 questions. So this is a big body of knowledge, but this is just your starter for 10. All this does is gives you the basic project management knowledge to know about what project management is and what we do as project managers. But when you come to managing projects, leading projects in the live world, there's so much more to know. And I picked out some of the things I think are most important, and I've organized them not by priority in the sense of what's most important, but in order of where in your career you need to start focusing on it, because you can't focus on all of it at the time. You will be accumulating knowledge and experience in all of these areas. But what would I focus on at the beginning? There's 3 things. And the first of them is self-management. Now, self-management is about managing yourself. It's about controlling your own motivation. It's about understanding your mood, your emotions, and how you're feeling at any time. It's about making wise choices. It's about deciding to slow down. It's about taking a deep breath when you get upset or frustrated or angry. self-management is probably the single most important skill that you can have as a professional. It allows you to control your stress. It allows you to be resilient in the face of setbacks. It allows you to keep motivated and to keep grinding away at the job when you don't necessarily want to. When things have gone badly, as a project manager, you need to be able to acknowledge it in front of your team, but not be put out by it, because your team is looking to you for inspiration. And if you are therefore able to acknowledge the setback but show confidence and resilience and to gather your team together and to find a way through, then you will inspire and you will lead. So self-management, very, very important. And this is where time management comes in, Kevin, because self-management, a lot of the time management discipline is about doing what you know you should be doing rather than what you think you want to be doing. It's about controlling that urge to procrastinate. It's about controlling that urge to do everything at once. It's about finding the one thing that's most important and making the decision to focus on it. Because multitasking is rubbish. It does not work. Human beings cannot multitask. Our brains are simply not, well, they're big enough. They're just not wired for it. They're wired to do one thing at a time. And hang on a moment, says Kevin. I can walk and I can talk and I can chew gum all at the same time without tripping over. Yes, you can. Or at least I probably expect you can. However, as soon as you introduce one thing that is cognitively demanding for you, something that you haven't practiced time and time again so that it becomes automatic, like talking, like walking, even like driving for most of us who have been driving for a number of years, when you introduce something that requires mindful attention in order to do it properly, then you fill up the glass. And if you try to introduce something else that requires mindful attention and do that at the same time, it spills and it won't work. So you can do all those automatic things. And of course, that's why we practice things. One of Kevin's things that he taught me in terms of making videos for this channel was you need to drill yourself to practice using your camera, practice using your microphone, practice using your recorder, so that you can just do it and do it right without thinking. And partly that's about efficiency. But partly that's about, if I don't have to think about how to set up my camera for a shoot, and I don't need to think about how to set up my lights and my microphone, then I can focus on the one thing that I want to be thinking about, which is what is the message I'm going to communicate. So an important part of self-management and time management is about focusing on one thing at a time. And of course, what things should you focus on? Well, all things being equal, the single most important thing you could be doing now. And good self-management is about saying, I know there's loads of other stuff, but the one thing that really matters now is this, and this is the thing I will turn my attention to. And one of the earliest things I learned as a project manager and a leader, a team leader, and actually managing my first large project was from a boss who I got frustrated because my team always wanted stuff from me. They wanted my help, they wanted my guidance, and I found it frustrating because I had other things I needed to be doing as well. And my team leader said to me, Mike, we've made you a manager, so what is your job? And that was when I realized that my job was to manage, and therefore whenever one of my team members came to me and asked me a question, that became the most important thing, and then I had to put everything else down and turn my attention to them. So that's self-management. Let's pause and turn my attention to the most important thing on this stream, which is you. And I can see there's some more comments there. What have we got? We've got Kevin. Mike consulted on my CRM and really bailed me out on all the problems I was having. Genius. Thank you, Kevin. It was a pleasure. Yash. Hello, Mike. Thanks for showing your book. I will definitely read it. Currently, I just graduated from my master's degree. Well done. In project management and business development. You probably know more about project management than I do. I haven't done a master's, not in that. The reason I asked about CRM, business development, yes. So CRM, customer relationship management, you start using it at the business development stage when we discover a new suspect that we might be engaging to do business with, and then we get to know them, and they become a prospect, and then they become hopefully a customer. So yes, I will give some thought, Yash, but you can easily find my contact details either on the YouTube channel or on the website. If you've got anything specific you want to ask about CRM, send me an email. I'll answer it if I can, if I know enough to be able to help, and if it strikes me as useful to the community, then I'll either make a video about it or put it. That's the sort of thing I quite often put into the newsletters, the Thursday newsletters. And if, by the way, you're not signed up for the Thursday newsletters, go to the website, look under resources, and you'll find a link to sign up for my Thursday newsletters. Bimperbod, great stuff. Thanks for that. Can't remember what I'm being thanked for. Okay, we've got Zelalem Zanebe. Happy to see you live, Dr. Mike. I became one of your dedicated followers on YouTube as a first year and second semester industrial engineering and logistics management. Wow. From another MSc from Ethiopia. Wow. Fantastic. I think you might be our my first follower from Ethiopia that has actually introduced themselves. So thank you. Martin, self-management seems like it's related to self-awareness. It is. You can't manage yourself until you become aware of yourself. I've kind of wrapped the two in to kind of keep the list as short as possible, but we're halfway through the live stream. I'm going to be like Kevin. Kevin's live stream is always overrun because he can't stop. I was going to say he can't stop talking. He can't stop providing content for his audience, and I'm quite happy to overrun this one as well. So, yes. The simple answer, Martin, is that in order to control something, you need to be aware of how it behaves. And in order to control yourself, to regulate yourself, to manage yourself, you need to be aware of what your hot buttons are, what it is. If you want to regulate your, let's say, your temper or your emotional responses, you need to know what your hot spots are, what your buttons are that trigger them. So that's a really nice insight. Thank you very much. Didn't Lyndon B. Johnson say about Gerald Ford that he couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time? Lyndon B. Johnson was not a very pleasant human being from all I've read. Funnily enough, my wife and I have recently been watching The Crown on Netflix. We're British and we love this kind of... We're up to sort of times when we were alive now, so that's quite exciting. But there was an episode with Lyndon B. Johnson, and kind of showed a little element of what the stories say the man was really like. Yeah. I don't know, Martin, if Lyndon B. Johnson said that of Gerald Ford, but it's caustic, unpleasant, and therefore fits my perception of Lyndon B. Johnson. Right. I did hear, by the way, that Kennedy was due to sack him shortly after, around the time of the what would have been the State of the Union. Interesting. That was a counterfactual. What have we got here, Kevin? Yep, my wife hits me with this all the time. Squirrels. Squirrels is Kevin's word for the distractions in life. The first time I heard him talk about that on one of his live streams, I got mightily confused because I thought, oh, there's squirrels in his garden. Do a daily battle plan. Yep. Get one thing done, and the most important one. Yeah, in fact, I developed, and we'll talk about this in another live stream. There is, by the way, a video on the channel on my OATS method for personal time management. So look up personal time management on my YouTube channel. But I've now got to the point where I do my regular OATS planning to plan my time ahead, not on a day-to-day basis, but on a week-to-week basis. This is actually, I'm not sure if it shows up. This is it. This is the high tech that I use. It's my OATS plan for the week. Divides each day into 3 zones. By the way, here we are. There we go. Bright pink to show up. That's this live stream. And Kevin, the orange there. That's your YouTube Pros call. See you and Michael there tomorrow. So yes. You should be doing a plan and figuring out what matters. And this is a 5-day by 3 slot grid. Each day is divided into 3 for me, and each slot has what the most important thing is that needs to get done in that slot. So that's spot on. Kevin says personal time management is a big thing. Do you have, or will you be creating a course on it? Well, yes, Kevin. I do have a course on it. It is created, and if you stay on to the end, there'll be a coupon code to get a 20% discount on my practical time management course. It's based very closely on Brilliant Time Management. Actually, this is the first edition. I think Amazon now only has stock of How to Manage Your Time, which is actually exactly the same book. You can see it does sort of say brilliant-ish there, brilliant. And this is the second edition of Brilliant Time Management. And so, yeah, you can either read the book or get the course or talk to me, Kevin, before you buy anything from me. Anyway, let's move on to let's head on to the next of our things. Personal impact. Once you can manage yourself, again at the beginning stage of your career, this is the CAPM stage. I would say, Yash. This is the stage when you know you're learning the basics of doing project management in the wild, in the real. Personal impact is about how you come across as a professional to the people in the room with you, and to the person on the phone or the other end of the Zoom call or whatever. This is about the authority with which you're able to speak, your gravitas, if you like. And yes, there's a course on gravitas too. Your gravitas. Charisma isn't I don't think so important for me. I don't think charisma is quite so important. It's valuable, it's useful, but it is overemphasized, I think, and misused by some charismatic individuals. But I do think that if you have confidence and if you are able to be assertive, and if you can carry yourself with authority and credibility, that's the kind of impact you want. And I think one of the key words is presence. And I have a single simple tip for you if you want more presence when you are in a room. Hey, do you remember when we were in a room with colleagues? We used to do that, didn't we? We used to go into a room with our colleagues at work. If you want more presence when you are in a room with colleagues, then be present. It's back to what is the one most important thing you need to focus on, and it's the people in the room. Don't be thinking about the shopping you've got to do on the way home or the next meeting you've got. If you're speaking with a person or a group of people, don't be thinking about who the next group of people are that you want to talk to. Don't be thinking about the next conversation. Give 100% of your attention to the person or people you are engaging with at the moment. And that's the simple way to have presence. Good eye contact, good body posture, turning your body towards the person that you're speaking with, looking them in the eye. Those are all important, but it's the mental thing of being present in the moment with the people you're there with. Let's what have we got here? We've got Alessandra here. Oh my goodness. I've just made the link. Mac. That's the Alessandra and I used to work together many years ago. Hi, Alessandra. We probably owe each other a call. How's David and the kids? Join the live stream a bit late. Well, you're very welcome to be here. And it's fantastic to have someone I've actually physically met on the live stream. That's great. Welcome. If there's anything you want to know, let me know. Did you miss? Were you on early enough to catch the Y2K reference? Who knows? And then we've got Zelalem Zanebe. Would you please tell us the best example of a successful and industrial project management in the world? So I guess you're asking for what I think of as a big, successful industrial project. Whew, that's put me on the spot a little. A successful and good example of a successful industrial project, global scale. Well, I tell you what, the Portuguese have just opened a fantastic new bridge. I mean, I think bridges are fantastic, full stop. And up until recently, there's that I can't remember the names of these things, but there's this huge bridge across a gorge in France, a road bridge. I think it is, maybe a rail bridge. But just because it's topical, a week or so ago, the Portuguese opened a new footbridge across a gorge. And it's basically open steel mesh footplate, and it looks very scary. I'm guessing it probably sways in the wind. I think anyone who can build a fantastic looking and safe bridge across a large expanse of water or air deserves lots of credit. So civil engineers get a lot of it from me, but we've built some amazing things, and I quite like industrial design projects, and there's I'm gonna forget his name. This chap in the UK who redesigned the London Routemaster bus. Alessandra, help me out because you'll probably know this one. And he also did the Olympic flame when the Olympics were in London, and he basically took an iconic 1940s, 1950s design that everyone loved but was no longer considered safe, and came up with a 21st century design which actually really honours the original design. It's a fantastic piece of design. Okay. I'll see if I can think of anything else as LLM, but that's a tricky question. It's a good question. It's a fair question. Anyway, but I'm going to move on because it's too difficult. What have we got? Next one, communication. Well, I had to put communication in here, and this is the third of the ones which I would consider the beginner level. The first 5 years of your project management career, you're probably not yet fully managing large projects. You may be managing small projects, but I think the thing you really need to be focusing on here, alongside self-management and personal impact, is communication. And a lot of project managers will tell you that project management is 80% communication, and it is, because it would be, if you're if you're a civil engineering project manager and you had robots that could assemble bridges, project management would be easy. You just program in the schedule into the robots and they would go and do it. But as soon as you've got to deal with people, you've got people who live either side of where the bridge is, you've got users, you've got the people who are put out because their normal route is disrupted, you've got a huge number of different individuals with different expertise working on your team, from engineers to caterers, and you've got to get all of those people coordinated. You've got to get them all supporting what you're doing. You've got to negotiate with them. All that is communication. So I really think you just cannot get away without learning about things like influencing skills, conflict management, and negotiation. And that should be a priority early in your career. Let's go on to the next one, and then we'll have another look at the comments. The next one is leadership, and this is as we start to move from what I call a beginner stage, in medieval terms, a medieval craftsperson would move from being an apprentice to being a journeyman to being a master. The apprentice is when they learn the craft. The journeyman is the craftsman, and it was a craftsman in those days, a craftsman who knows their trade, knows how to make things, but is not yet at the level of innovating or educating and creating new and great works, and educating the next generation. And then we move from apprentice to journeyman, and then on to master. And the master is someone who has a group of apprentices and journeymen working for them. They are able to divide their time between educating the apprentices in the basics, helping the journeymen to start to excel and to create fantastic new peaks of their work, and the master is themselves innovating and creating fantastic stuff. And for us as project managers, I think we have those three stages, except I don't call them apprentice, journeyman, and master. I call them beginner, practitioner, and expert. And as we move from beginner to practitioner, the first thing we need to turn our attention to is leadership. And there's so much in leadership. There's probably more on my site about leadership than any other particular topic, especially if you combine that with all the content on teams and leading and managing and engaging teams. And here we're talking about skills like delegation, coaching, giving feedback, inspiring, motivating people, although I'll come back to motivation in a little bit. A lot of people ask the question, what's the difference between project management and project leadership? And I think they are two aspects of the same role. I think the management is, if you like, the technical element of it. and the leadership is the bit that goes beyond that. And again, if I'm going to plug my books, I always take an opportunity to plug my books. Brilliant Project Leader. I think this one still is on sale as Brilliant Project Leader. It hasn't yet been updated into the new livery, second edition. But this will show you what the leadership roles are at the different stages of a project. It will tell you what the different leadership roles are as regards the people in your team and the communication elements and the planning. And it also talks about leadership in tough times and the different elements, the different types of tough times there are to deal with. So do take a look at that if that's for you. Let's see if we've got any more comments. See if Alessandra actually knew the answer to that question. What have we got here? Right, Michael Finn. Totally irrelevant piece of useless info. LBJ claimed to have... Yes, this is why I'm not a big fan of LBJ. Not that he may have had more sex by accident than Kennedy did not, but that's horrible. Thank you, Michael, for that. Yeah, it's the fact that he would say these things. I mean, he bragged about things you just don't talk about in polite company. LBJ wasn't everyone's cup of tea, but there were some tremendous quotes attributed to him. Yes, there were. And I think probably there are elements of his presidency to be admired and elements of his presidency not. But let's not get into American politics, because I'm a Brit and we've got enough politics to discuss over here without getting into historic American politics. We've got Raoul. Raoul, hello, Raoul. What do you consider the value added provided by the project management versus the expenses in a project, especially when you have the methodology ready and the support systems running well? Yeah, I suppose the question I'd ask, Raoul, is who actually selects the appropriate methodology, gets it ready, tweaks it to the needs, tailoring, as the PMI call it, and keeps the support systems running well, sets them up and keeps them running well. It is the project manager. So there's the value proposition. But on top of all of that, the real value we add is by being the communicator who keeps everything connected. Builds relationships with stakeholders, builds relationships with experts, builds relationships with the client or the sponsor and the governance tiers of the project, builds relationships within the project team, so there is no project without a project manager. By the way, dare I say this out loud in public, fundamentally I'm an anarchist, not in the kind of let's trash everything sense, but in the true sense of an anarchist means without rule. I believe that the ideal that human beings should aspire to is that everybody contributes to their community in the way that they best can contribute, and by so doing people figure out where the gaps are and people will step in to fill the gaps, and the community is served and thrives because everybody does their piece. There are, some of you will kind of recognize that this in the way that you contribute to your community and to your society. Nobody asks you to, nobody tells you to. It doesn't need a leader to do that. And if we could have a project where everyone does that, then great, we wouldn't need a project manager. The closest we come, I guess, is in the Scrum methodology within the Agile approach, where there is no project manager. But that said, there is a product owner who is a boss in a sense, and there is a Scrum Master who is a boss in a sense. So all we're doing is redistributing the roles that a project manager plays in a traditional project or in some other forms of Agile into different roles. So what do I consider the value added by a project manager? I don't think it's too glib to say. I think it's enormous. I think project managers really do add a lot of value. And if they're not adding value, then that's probably a fault of the individual and the way they're fulfilling that role or trying to fulfill that role. I'm not saying it might be their fault, but there is something wrong in that setup rather than the nature of the project management role. And if we don't need a project manager, then maybe it's not a project that we're actually doing. ZLM, thank you though. This is the trouble with live streams. The lag means I can't quite remember. Oh, okay. ZLM's referring to my Bridges comment, I think. Right, I'm caught up with the comments, so keep them coming. Particularly questions about what we're talking about, but questions about anything, as you know, I'll always answer them as best I can. Right, second of 4 practitioner level focuses is team building, and I think this is different to leadership. It's a part of leadership, but I think I'm going to distinguish this. This is about actually taking a group of people who maybe don't even know each other at the start of the project and turning them into a cohesive team. You see, come back to Raoul's question about what is it that a project manager adds. When a project manager, when a project leader has done a really good job, built a great team, then they can step back. And if you caught my very first 60-second short, which went out on YouTube on Saturday, because I'm putting them out on Saturday for the next seven or 8 weeks as an experiment, that was a brief thing about servant leadership. There's a full article of servant leadership on the website, and there's a longer video on YouTube and on the website. But when the team is running really well, then as a leader you can step back and let the team run itself to a degree, and just provide them with the rations they need, the resources, getting the team to cohere. If that's something that interests you, take a look on the website or on YouTube for my videos and articles on the Acumen model. That's probably the best way. And also have a look at the management courses YouTube channel too, because there's some good stuff there on general teams. In fact, we're doing a whole course on teams on the management courses YouTube channel, which is the sister channel to this one. If you're not familiar with it, do take a look. I'll just post a link to the channel in the chat. It's growing nicely, and thank you to those of you who have supported it so far. But if you're interested in general management stuff, I publish 2 videos a week on 2 different courses, and there are some completed courses. There's a course on motivation, a course on negotiation. What else have we got? There's a course on personal impact. Oh, Kevin, there's a course on personal productivity. So you don't even need to pay for anything. It's all on YouTube, free on the Management Courses website. Different approach, different tack. So take a look at that. And at the moment, one of the 2 courses that's running is on teams. The other course is on organisations and how organisations work. Heather says she just watched Servant Leadership today. Good, thank you, Heather. Hope you enjoyed it. And what does Michael have to say? Love your aspirational anarchy, Mike. Unfortunately, not all people agree to cooperate for the good of the whole. Oh no, you just spoilt it for me, Michael. Is that really true? But I was watching the news today and the whole world is wonderful and everything is... Yeah, okay, I'll buy that. Let's move on swiftly. Right. Team building, the third of our 4 practitioner kind of level foci. Motivating others. We need to be able to motivate others, and yes, there is in fact the single most popular course on management courses to date, and I think 7 out of the top 10 videos is on the motivation course. So I've actually done some new ones to go out onto to add to that course later in the summer. So they're all lined up. So there are lots of different techniques for motivation. There's a lot of psychology theory out there, lots of tools and ideas to gather there. The one I would kind of point you at as a starter is Vroom, because Vroom does not tell us what motivates people. He tells us why motivation fails when it does and what you have to do to make it work. So motivating others is really key. Getting people to show up to work and to be enthusiastic and to do their job. And it's not as easy as it sounds, because if it seems easy to you, it means you're a good leader because you've got a good project, you've sold it to your team, and they want to do the work for its own sake and also for you. But when there's a setback, when things go wrong, when things aren't as easy because there are problems, then being able to keep the team enthusiastic and a morale high is a real skill set, and it's an art and a craft. So that is going to be very relevant at this stage of your career, to master it at the practitioner level, so that when you become an expert, again, it becomes a little bit more automatic. And the last is managing upwards, because now you are likely to be leading projects, but the reality is most projects have to lead without authority. I had someone on a coaching call recently, and she said the problem we have here is that most of our project managers, they're not formally project managers, they're managers managing projects, which are the kind of accidental project managers that I would say are the majority of project managers in the world. And they're managing organizational projects, and they do not have dedicated staff, or they don't have many dedicated staff, and they need colleagues to do the work whose job isn't to do this project. This project is just an add-on to their job. And some of those colleagues are at their level or even above them. So as project managers, we need to be managing more senior people than ourselves. Often people with a lot more seniority. And even within the, if you like, the structure of our project, sitting above us is a project sponsor or a project director or a project owner or a client, and possibly a whole gaggle of steering group project board members. And we need to be able to manage those. And learning the art and the craft of dealing with senior people and getting them to comply with your wishes without being able to tell them what to do and without needing to tell them what to do, that's something really important. So let's see, anything else come in? Heather, did I include motivation team and ourselves in a pandemic? Working from home. I didn't, interestingly, Heather, very early on in the pandemic, one of my clients, a UK government department, a team in a UK government department, not the whole department, I'd been due to give a series of seminars for them in autumn 2020 at their London headquarters, because I'd done so the previous year. Funnily enough, they cancelled that, but they said, could I do some online stuff as a kind of remedial? And the things they were interested in is how to give presentations online, because they were now having to give formal presentations online. And the other thing was actually how to manage people remotely and keep them motivated and keep them enthused. So I've done some of that stuff, but I haven't actually put it onto the channel, and that's really interesting. And I'll be honest, the reason why is optimism. I kept thinking, if I do this, it won't be there for very long. It won't get much play because, we'll come out of the pandemic and people won't need it anymore. But I think, Heather, you're onto something there. So as well as noting down, I'm going to write this in my book, as well as noting down the time management productivity live stream that Kevin suggested, I will do something on virtual team motivation. Whether I do as a live stream or as an article or as a video, I don't know yet. But I'm now optimistic that we are coming to the other side of the pandemic at different speeds. We're fortunate here in the UK that, we're gradually and sensibly unlocking, and, I feel pretty safe going out in the streets now. Other countries are really struggling, but, as a world, if we have the intent, we certainly have the capability now to solve the problem. So, but my optimism is actually that we will have more virtual working. Arthur C. Clarke, the great science fiction novelist and futurologist in the 1950s, was filmed in a room full of computers. And I don't mean like desks with computers on them. I mean computers that were the size of cupboards. Each one was bigger than he was, and it was a room full of them. And he said that there will be a time when business people, he actually said businessmen, business people won't need to go to the office. They'll be living in a rural area. He lived in Sri Lanka at the time, a rural area, miles from anywhere, and they will be communicating by video phone with their colleagues. And he was absolutely right. We're doing it now. Fantastic. So yes, Heather says yes, her stakeholders are very specialised and senior executives, and many of us have that same thing. And I did a project with Alessandra, I think you were there, where we had some very, very senior They weren't civil servants, they were public servants, and we had to negotiate with them daily about elements of the project. Yeah, absolutely. What else have we got? Martin watched a great clip from Simon Sinek. If you get a chance to watch any Simon Sinek, they're all great clips. Motivating a team and how a lot of teams' motivation, lack thereof, could be down to the manager and how the team members are treated and engaged with. Absolutely. One of the things I learned was that as human beings, we take our mood, our emotional state from the people around us. And as a result, if the people around us are happy, we become happier. If they are sad, we become sadder. But we predominantly get our sense of the mood. And it's not just he's sad, I should be sad too. It's actually our mirror neurons are actually mirroring the mood of the people around us, and they focus on the people we look to, the people we respect, the people we look up to. So if you are a leader and you are a leader who leads well and people respect you, then inevitably your mood will translate to them. So if you are confident and optimistic, then your team will become more confident and optimistic. If you are sad and dejected, your team will become more sad and dejected. If you are angry and frustrated, your team will become more angry and frustrated. If you have a bad journey to work and you are seething with anger about that motorist, then between the car and the front door of your place of work, put all of that down and put on your game face, because if you go in angry and frustrated, you will ruin the mood of your team. And leaders who do not know how to self-manage, back to the first thing, and control that will leave their team and in whatever mood they find themselves in. And if we treat our team members badly, if we engage with them weakly or inappropriately, then that will kill the motivation. And I've had experience of leaders who were particularly good at managing the motivation of the teams around them, and leaders who are particularly bad at it. And I always illustrate, and you can think of these in terms of McGregor's Theory X and Theory Y. And when I talk about McGregor's Theory X, Theory Y, I talk about two managers I had, and I say, let's call them Richard and Julian. And I say that because actually they were called Richard and Julian. I hold these archetypes in my mind, and if Alessandra's still on, then you know exactly who Richard and Julian are. If I just remind you that Richard's the bad manager and Julian's the good manager. Heather has a virtual team in India. Wow. That's fantastic. In fact, actually, lots of people have virtual teams in India, don't they? Because there's a lot. India has become one of the key places for outsourcing work virtually. So that's brilliant. A lot of very talented people in India, and has the virtue for many companies that English is a strong second language. Pretty much everyone who works in a kind of white collar role speaks really good English over there. So regardless of what their first language might be. Martin, British too, pleased that beer gardens are open. Yes, Friday. I'm meeting a friend for the first time since last summer in a beer garden. Excellent. Also hope we move towards more remote working. I've seen that Arthur Clarke clip. Alice is about 20 minutes behind. Alessandra. Okay. Thomas Heatherwick. Yes, I knew you'd know it, Alessandra. It's Thomas Heatherwick. You'll hear me acknowledge that in 20 minutes' time. It's like time travel, isn't it? If you ever watched science fiction, you know there's real problems with time travel. The Forever War by John Haldeman. Is it John Haldeman or Joseph Haldeman? Haldeman? Anyway, The Forever War is a fantastic science fiction novel about the problems of time of space travel and the time gaps it introduces. I'm rambling, aren't I? Well off topic. Let's move on to the next one. We're now moved from beginner, what the medieval people would have called the apprentice, to the practitioner, the journeyman, the skilled practitioner who knows the job and can do all the fundamentals completely unsupervised and is starting to learn to innovate and create. But now we've moved on to the expert level. And once you're at expert level, you're able to really innovate. You're able to teach and train and tackle the most challenging, complex projects. And what do we need to be focusing our learning on here? And I'm not, by the way, saying you shouldn't be picking this stuff up at earlier stages in your career. You should. But the first of them is business acumen. You need to really start to learn and understand about the business. And if this is something you aspire to do, do take a look at management courses. The link is in the... it will be in the description below. It's in the comments. Because one of the courses we're running at the moment, I think it's the Thursday releases on the management courses, is a whole program of videos around organizations, understanding how organizations work. And of course, that's the first kind of stepping stone of business acumen. But also understanding the strategy of your own business and how that works, and the competitive environment if you're in a commercial business, the legislative regulatory environment, the constitutional environment if you're in the public sector, the way that the social environment and the legislative regulatory structure around not-for-profits if that's where you are, and how all these different sectors intertwine. We need to understand that because we don't do projects in a vacuum. And, if you are like some of the people in this live stream, if you're primarily doing projects that are, community projects or your own small business projects, you are still not doing it in a vacuum. You've still got to understand all of the commercial pressures that you're under, all of the social pressures that you're under, and that is business acumen. I've seen another couple of comments come in. Oh no, just one more. Good day, sir. Very useful instructions, says Evangelos Sioulas, MSc. We've got a lot of MSCs on the call. I have MSc envy. I did an MSc and then didn't submit it because I wanted to use the research for my PhD. I think that's anyway, welcome Evangelos, not sure. Okay, last but one, we've talked about business acumen. Of course, business acumen is understanding how the commercial side of the business works, but how does it run internally? That's actually political acumen. Wherever there are two people in a room, there is politics. So by political acumen, I do not mean understanding what Boris Johnson is up to in the UK and Joe Biden is up to in the US and Modi is up to and Bolsonaro is up to. Yeah, there is politics. There's national politics. There's local politics. There's community politics. But all of that is just kind of big picture versions of individual politics between the people in whatever environment, whatever domain you're in, within your organization. And as soon as two people are in a room, there will be politics because they will not have identical thoughts about the same thing. And so we need to understand how those networks of influence work, how those differences of opinion manifest and how they play out and how people choose to compete or collaborate with one another. All of that is politics. And political acumen is kind of like communication skills on steroids. It's the ability to deploy the communication skills you've got in that environment. So it's the combination of understanding how the environment works and understanding how the environment works and understanding how to use your communication skills to get the best out of that environment. And I have to say, the most challenging course I was ever asked to develop for a client was a course on political acumen. It was the most fun to deliver. We had a great group. We were in a great venue and we did some great stuff. And I've long thought that maybe that's something I'd kind of like to develop a course on online, but not sure whether there's enough market for it. But let me know. In fact, I'm going to ask the question. We've got nearly to the end. Oh, let's do the last one and then I'll ask the question. The last one isn't really an expert level thing. It's not really a practitioner level thing. It's not really a beginner level thing. It's something you accumulate on the way and it supplements all of it. And that's psychology. And I have been saying for the last few years to people I speak to about project management who ask this sort of question, if you're going to learn one thing, if you're going to make one distinct area of knowledge an interest of yours and study it to supplement your skills as a project manager or as a business professional of any kind, it should be psychology. There is just so much in psychology that we need to be aware of. In fact, I'll post it in the thing. I did an article recently, not that long ago, 12 psychologists that project managers really should know about. So let me post a link to that. I've got it ready in the chat, because I think that article will get you started. And it's a big journey. And I have, a whole shelf of books. I've got probably more books on psychology than I have on project management behind me. I would wave the webcam around, but I'm not sure. Oh, let's have a go. See if I can do this. I shouldn't really do this, but there are quite a lot of books in this office, and I can't turn the camera through 180 degrees and face that way where the other half of the books are. But there are more books on psychology in here than there are on project management. And in fact, I would say that psychology-inspired ideas account for more than half of the words in the 14 books I've written, 14 print books I've written. So it is so important. So self-management, personal impact, communication, leadership. I'm reading these off a list, by the way. Motivating others, managing upwards, business acumen, political acumen, psychology. It would really help me if you would put into the chat, which of those do you feel you most want to learn about from me? You might want to learn about some of them from other people, of course. But which ones would be most useful for me to make videos on, write articles about, include in my weekly newsletters? So I know there's a lag, so I shan't expect it to come up. But what are those topics? I'll read them out again. Self-management, personal impact, communication, leadership, motivating others, team building, managing upwards, business acumen, political acumen, and psychology. Which of those do you most want to learn about from me? And that will help me to kind of know what some of the areas around the core project management. I'm not going to stop making stuff about core project management, but if you look at particularly my Tuesday videos, they are mostly thoughts, and they're inspired by these kind of areas of knowledge. So while you're entering that, let me catch up with the comments. Okay, Michael Finn. Okay, I think he's signed off there. Dinner beckons. Yeah, Michael eats a little earlier than I do, but he's on the same time zone. He's in Ireland. Heather, thank you. Off to a leader working group. Okay, Heather. Catch up later. Martin also has to. It looks like I've overstayed my welcome a little. What have we got? Ariana. Yes to political acumen, she says. And Monica, case studies. Question mark. She's asking about case studies. Kevin, time management. Because I'm in danger of overstaying my welcome, and maybe in future I'll schedule these for an hour and a half so that people can plan around them. Let me just make you an offer. Look at that. There are 8 of my courses that aren't about project management. I've got them on a tiny little screen. Can I actually read them? So there's the Gravitas one, how to develop Gravitas. Take back control when and how to say no, which is based on the Yes No book, which is one of my best-selling books and my favourite in the sense that it's got fantastic illustrations from Tony Goff, who illustrates the Gopher. Tony's a friend of mine locally and an artist. What else have we got there? Practical time management. There you go. So you can either watch the free videos on time management on the Management Courses YouTube channel for one take on it, or you can do the kind of a more structured take, looking at the practical project management course. Leading effective one-on-one meetings. What have we got here? How to get the most from your meetings. How to delegate without stress. Situational leadership course. Day-to-day leadership that gets results, and how to handle conflict. Dealing with conflict in projects. Now, all of those are available at my online school. There are, of course, links from the website, but I will give you a direct link to the school so you can see them all. And then after I've given you that link, I will give you a code which is valid until midnight on the 5th 5 to midnight on the 31st of May. So basically, the next live stream is on the 1st of June. The first Tuesday of June is on the 1st of June. So this link will expire, or this code will expire at 5 to midnight UTC UK time. But if you choose to do that, if you choose to use that code, put that code in at the checkout before you hit pay. It's sometimes hard to spot where to enter the code, so look for it carefully. It is there, I promise you. If it goes horribly wrong, just email me and I'll sort you out, don't worry. But I'll just put the valid to in the chat just so that you can't say I didn't warn you. Do sign up for those courses, and what you'll probably find is if you buy one, you'll be offered a second one at a reduced rate, which is so. Take a look at those. Any last questions before I say goodbye? I'm happy to sit and answer questions, but I've kind of talked about everything I intended to talk about. Let's get rid of all these pictures. So if there are any other questions, do let me know. Okay, Kevin says rather do a course so I can eat it all at once. Okay, I'll speak to you tomorrow, Kevin. Anyway, any other comments? Otherwise, I shall just wind up the stream. It's been a great pleasure doing this. I'm starting to feel like I'm finding my feet, and I hope you like the new style. I think the first couple of live streams I just put PowerPoint slides to fill the screen. Now I've found a cunning way to put the PowerPoint slides over the screen so that they kind of share the screen with me, which I think looks nice. Great session. Good job as always, says Patrick. Thank you, Patrick. I thank you for your support. I know you watch a lot of my videos and consume a lot of my content, and so therefore it's for people like you that I do that. In fact, it's for everyone who's on the stream. I know I just kind of, ever since I left Deloitte in 2002, and I've been training people, basically my whole working life has been geared around helping people to learn. It's what I love doing. It's I learned at Deloitte that I probably enjoyed helping people to learn more than I enjoyed actually delivering client services, and so that's been a large part of what I do, and most of what I do. So you're all very welcome. I will stay monitoring the chat, but I think it's time to sign off. Thank you all very much for attending, and I've enjoyed it, and I will see, I hope, many of you again next first Tuesday, which is the 1st of June, at the same time, 4 p.m. UTC, 5 p.m. UK time, and what is that? I know it's 9 o'clock Pacific time in America. Anyway, thank you all very much.